Hey guys, it's Sydney with Montgomery Admissions Consulting. And today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make that decision between applying early in the application cycle or retaking your LSAT so you can get a higher score. September is here, and that means that applications are open or they're opening this month. Now, you know, if you've been following my blog, I consistently stress that one of the best things you can do for yourself in the application process is applying early. Applying early in a rolling application cycle can sometimes mean better opportunities for scholarships. If you're below the median of a particular school, applying early can also sometimes give your application more consideration than it would have had if you had applied in December or January. At the end of the day, however, you should apply when you are most ready to apply. A strong application is a strong application. This week, this is the topic that everyone is talking about. I've even had people ask me if applying in October is too late. Absolutely not. First off, I took the October LSAT. Now, I only had money to take the LSAT one time, so this was my one shot. There were no redos or retakes available for me. However, as I've told a lot of my students, if you're able to, and it would make you feel less anxious, go ahead and register for the November LSAT. Right now, you have until September 23rd to register for that November test, and it's really not a bad idea. If you end up loving your score in October, you can cancel your November LSAT registration. And also, if you do score preview, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that gives you even greater protection. Score preview was definitely not a thing when I took the LSAT. So you guys are definitely lucky it's an option, even if it is unreasonably expensive. So as I was saying, I took the October LSAT, which actually was an end of September LSAT, but I guess they didn't really want to call it the September LSAT. But, you know, back in the day, it took forever to get your score back. So I'm pretty sure I submitted my application on or shortly after October. The fantastic thing about applying that early, though, was that I actually was able to receive at least 2 offers within 2 weeks of submitting my application. And no, I didn't have a 175, which honestly is probably the most impressive thing. But my 169, 3.4 GPA, and strong essays did just fine anyways. Now, out of the 12 schools that I applied to, I actually ended up hearing back from 9 of them before Christmas. And having those acceptances in hand going into the holidays made my senior year of college that much less stressful. So, what do you do if you're weighing the decision of applying early with retaking the LSAT another time to increase your score? Well, there are a few factors to consider. 1. Consider your timeline for retaking. Oftentimes, there's not enough time for you to get your score back and register for the very next test, so some advanced planning is required. For example, you won't be able to register for, say, the July test if you want to get your June test scores back. However, you will have time to register for the October test if you took the August test. And if you took the June test, you should be absolutely comfortable taking the August or October test, knowing that your timeline for applying to law school applications will not be significantly impacted. The October test happens at the beginning of the month, and you're normally going to get your scores back during October, and you can submit around the end of the month like I did, or at the beginning or middle of November. As I mentioned earlier in the video, however, if the LSAT sitting is in October and that's your first time, you may want to preemptively register for the November test as well. This way, you will be able to retake in November in the event that the October testing does not go as planned. With the LSAC's new score preview option, you'll be able to see your score and have 6 days to decide whether you would like your score to be kept as part of your LSAC transcript or whether you want to cancel your score. You always want to apply with your strongest application. So if you are certain that you can get a higher score on a subsequent testing date, then you should absolutely highly consider that. This analysis becomes crucial if you are consider retaking, for example, exam in February. At this point, you'll be toward the end of the application cycle and you may run into some deadlines. But retaking in February can still be the best strategy if you're certain that you can increase your score by more than 4 or 5 points. However, I advise you to really be honest with yourself about your study plan and your habits. What are you doing between your first test and your retest to ensure that your score will increase? Are you going to hire a tutor or dedicate more time to self-study? What went wrong on your first test? Did it go as expected? Were there any unintended distractions or unexpected testing anxiety? Did you take enough practice tests prior to your testing so that you had a good idea of where your predicted score range was? These are all the questions that you should consider before choosing to delay your application for a possible retake. It's not a good idea to delay your application to retest if you're just hoping, but without any actual evidence, that you'll score better and without any actual plan to do so. You could find yourself in the position of having the same or lower score and a few months down in the cycle. If you don't believe that you can increase your score and you're looking at a possible February retake, it may be time to have a conversation about your law school goals and timing. For many, applying to more regional law schools, they should continue applying as normal. However, if you are set on attending a T14 law school and you find yourself in the situation of retaking in February, but not feeling like you can actually increase your score, you may want to decide to wait till next application cycle, where you can really dedicate the time to study and get your LSAT score and then hit that submit button in September. The second thing that you should understand is that law schools differ on timing. Not every law school has an advantage to applying early. Applying early matters much more if you are applying to a T14 law school than if you're applying to schools a little bit lower down the rankings. But see my blog post next month on how there's more to choosing a law school than just the rankings. Last year, PowerScore blog did an analysis of the admissions boost for applying early versus increasing your LSAT score for T14 schools. To note, however, at Yale Law School, you have no advantage if you apply before you're ready. You might actually be at a disadvantage. Yale has a unique file reading process that involves faculty readers. This process standardizes the time when Yale will read your application, so there really is no benefit to applying early. Additionally, Yale, and many other law schools, will not hold your application for late materials. If you apply but are planning to retake the LSAT, Yale and other schools will not hold your application for that score, and therefore your application may be read without the updated score. This lower score could cause you to be prematurely denied. You want to put your best foot forward when you do hit submit on your applications. On the flip side, some law schools will hold your applications and not read your file if you indicate that you plan to sit for a future exam. In that case, you will almost negate all the benefits of applying early because your file will not be treated as complete until your updated LSAT score arrives. It's just best to contact the schools you're applying to and ask how they treat future LSAT score dates to understand the best strategy for you. The third thing you want to do is weigh the possibility of merit scholarships. Some schools give a combination of need-based aid and merit-based aid. Some schools, like Harvard, only give need-based aid. Some schools will give merit aid at the same time that they give admissions, and some schools will make merit aid determinations and scholarship offers at a later date, even maybe in February or March. So it's true that at some schools, applying earlier can give you more consideration for merit aid, but it's certainly true that a higher LSAT score can increase your chances of getting merit aid. Similar to my advice above about timing, if you know that you can get a higher score, that point increase, even 1 point or 3 points, could be the difference in thousands of dollars in merit aid. In order to make this decision, however, you want to look at historical and comparative data of scholarship amounts of other students with a similar academic profile. Additionally, you want to inquire into how each school decides merit aid, timing, and factors. Not all scholarships are based on LSAT scores. Some are based on essays, letter of recommendations, certain professional or community service experience. You just want to find out what it is that you're being evaluated on. Ultimately, there is no bright line rule on whether it's best to apply early with the LSAT score you have or retake your LSAT and delay your application. There are many factors, including your personal, academic, and score profile, the schools you are applying to, and the financial policies and considerations of those schools. If you want to discuss your specific circumstances, I would love to help you think through these issues. I offer 1-hour sessions where we can strategize and come up with a game plan for your applications this fall. If you're looking for guidance on the entire application process, I would love to become part of your team and to make your law school dreams a reality. Please don't hesitate to contact me. I invite you to join me in my private Facebook group where I answer your questions every Tuesday. I provide my latest blogs and videos, and I create a supportive and uplifting community of students. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, where I give weekly tips on how you can maximize your applications, definitely make sure that you subscribe. The link is below. Like my Facebook group, emails also roll out on Tuesdays. As a first-generation lawyer, I also understand that everyone needs support through this process. So I invite you to become a barrier breaker and sign up for my group coaching calls where I'll answer your questions over Zoom, and not just about the application process, but I'll also act as a guide throughout your 3 years in law school. You can submit questions directly to me or ask me live, and I will be sure to answer them. Definitely make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you can stay up to date, and I can't wait to see you in my Facebook group.